Hey there, Sharon Hornhouse from here. Welcome to day 118 of our Supersize You annual challenge. Having technical difficulties, spent 9 years recording videos. This is my 9th year on Facebook Live, and Facebook Live, all of a sudden today, nothing works. So I'm recording on my cell phone. I'm going to give this a try. I think I'm going to try School Platform for Supersize Your Business, and we'll go from there. And by tomorrow, I will have it all figured out. No stress, just go. Well, today, in addition to talking about our topic today, which is crisis communication, kind of perfect for today, we are talking about the E in our super framework with respect to communication. We're focusing on communication this month. So today's topic is crisis communication and how to handle communication during a crisis to effectively dispel any myths or rumors and make sure that people who need to know what they need to know it in the right time frame. And we're talking about execution. Execution meaning how do we execute the plan or the path that we decided upon yesterday to fill the gap between where we are and where we want to be. Well, I didn't share my example of my path and my plan. Mine is to actually take a course on public speaking as well as a course either on LinkedIn, because I've got a pretty big following on LinkedIn, in order to help me to communicate better and more effectively. And so I've already actually identified the people that I'm going to, and the programs I'm going to go through. So that is an example of execution. We just have to take the next step. Remember, when we're planning out the path, we don't have to know the whole staircase. We just have to know what is the next step to step up toward what it is that we want. So today we're going to execute on the step we decided on either yesterday or today. We can use all kinds of analysis tools, but I'm not going to share another tool today since I'm already discombobulated about the whole not being able to record my videos the way I usually do them today. And I'm under the weather. I've definitely got a cough and cold. I cough for my granddaughters. All right, so let's talk about crisis communication. How we communicate in a crisis is different than how we communicate on a day-to-day basis. Things that are normally things we can blow off and we don't have to worry about as much become imperative when we're in a crisis situation. Think about a situation recently in the news, because it's like almost every single day there's some crisis that's being reported on that has been handled really, really well and one that's been handled really, really poorly. I can think of a couple. The Epstein files. Crisis handled really, really poorly for decades. Handled really, really, really well. Usually hurricane relief or any natural disasters, people are coming online and sharing information, the need to know basis information. And the one that comes to mind to me is horrible, but I was just there, was in Texas with the flooding in the Kerrville area. And my sister has a house in Kerrville, so that one hit really close to home. What's the difference between the way those were handled? Now, I'm going to put in my editorial 2 cents worth. If you are watching the news, any news, keep in mind it is for entertainment purposes, not for actual news and journalism like it was when I was a kid. Very, very different. Unfortunately, the filters for people being able to think for themselves have gone way down, and that is part of what's causing all the craziness and strife in our country, in my humble opinion. So, let's talk about how you can handle a crisis from your own perspective. What do you do when there's a crisis? Do you freeze up and go silent and not communicate at all? Or do you share communication in a transparent, positive way that tells people, number one, what happened to the best of your ability, acknowledge that something happened. So often people will not even acknowledge that something happened. I remember this in my manufacturing days. I've spent a lot of decades in manufacturing industry and in the food industry in particular. Well, instead of acknowledging, hey, we had a problem and some bad product got out and getting it back and recalling it immediately, they would try to sweep it under the rug and just ignore it as if nothing had happened. And fortunately, knock wood, We never had any type thing like that happen in my organization at all, because I was a quality manager before I had the business, and it was never going to happen on my watch. But if it had, we had a whole protocol for how we would handle it and what we would do, part of our emergency action plan. So we want to acknowledge what happened, apologize if it's appropriate. I'm going to share one of my stories with you. And I'm going to name names. Chipotle has had huge food safety challenges in their lifetime. And to me, they have not handled it well. They have definitely not taken the right corrective action, because they still have challenges and they still run out of primary ingredients in their restaurants, which I find mind-boggling, which is why I don't eat there anymore. Used to love them, but then after the first couple of food scares and food poisonings, and then going to my local location on several occasions and them running out of lettuce and cheese and things that, hey, if you run out, you go to the grocery store that is 1 block away, not even a block, it's just the next parking lot, and you get some more. There's so many problems. It just told me the level of lack of leadership in their organization. And so I don't like to do business with companies like that. But acknowledge that something happened. Apologize if it's appropriate. If you frickin' messed up, if anyone in your organization messed up, you owe people that were impacted an apology. Act and fix the problem as quickly as possible, and then update everybody that needs to know when they need to know as quickly as possible. It's not that hard. Transparency and speed versus having all the answers is what's most important. I've had the fortunate opportunity to handle a whole lot of emergencies and crazy situations in my lifetime. Not with respect to food safety and things, but I often tell the story about the gentleman who cut his finger off at my first job out of college. And everybody else was panicking, and I'm like, okay, shut the line down. Find the finger. I'm taking him to the hospital. Somebody come put the finger on ice when you find it and bring it to the hospital. It's not that hard. But we needed to deal with the situation immediately. Someone needed to show leadership and take action. And a lot of times, everybody's discombobulated, and it falls to you. So know that you can confidently handle anything that comes your way, because I have faith in you, and I know that you can. So I would love for you to share in the comments below as our action item today an example of either a good or a badly handled crisis situation, and why you thought it was good or bad. Excuse me. And then do some self-reflecting today. Ask yourself, how do I respond in a crisis? How do I communicate? Do I communicate, face up to it, and solve the problem right away? Or do I try to hide it? Because that's important to know what your natural tendency is. Because wherever you are, you can always improve, right? What's the difference between a good communication and good handling of a crisis versus bad, in your opinion? Think of a couple of examples. Like I said, all you have to do is watch the news, and you can see total examples of this. You know, I think of school shootings, which I don't like to think of, and how some of those are handled. And I think of, you know, the politics around those, which is just ludicrous. And that is why I stopped watching the news in the 1980s. Anyway, how would your credibility increase if you learn to communicate with transparency and speed during a difficult situation? Guess what? A health challenge to you can be a crisis, right? Okay, I'm going to say a health challenge to us is the ultimate crisis. You know, wars across the world are something we have no control over. A health crisis in our personal bodies is something we absolutely need to handle and deal with. And you have to decide, are you going to hide it, or are you going to communicate it to the people that need to know? I say you don't hide it from your family, because you need their love and support. But then again, that's up to you. All right, that is our topic for today. Got your action item. We want to come up with an execution step and then execute on it today. Just go ahead and do it. If you need help with any of that, please hit me up and ask. Otherwise, make it an awesome day. And I will, of course, be with you tomorrow on some platform or other. Bye.